Donald Trump's Big Beautiful Bill victory tour is forced to make an unfortunate pit stop in Realityville. This is just another day. After finally getting to sign his Medicaid killing, food stamp halting, tax slashing for the rich bill into law last week, this week should have been Donald Trump's chance to soak in the sweet smell of victory. Unfortunately, some recent news has overshadowed his ability to celebrate.
Your memo and release yesterday on Jeffrey Epstein, it left some lingering mysteries.
Sure, if
hey, Pam, could I just interrupt for 1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this, where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
Donald's like, my not involved with Jeffrey Epstein t-shirt has people asking a lot of questions already answered by my shirt. Yes, the man who still talks about Hunter Biden's laptop, the 2020 election being rigged, and relentlessly refers to one of his predecessors as Barack Hussein Obama is a little perturbed that some people just can't let things go. You see, on Monday, the Justice Department released a memo stating that the incriminating client list of our president's former wingman doesn't actually exist, which is odd because, well...
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients? Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump.
Apparently, dogs don't just eat homework. They also chew up documents right off the Attorney General's desk. It's a shame, unless there's some other excuse they'd like to try.
First, to back up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I said, I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file.
Ah, I see. When you said it, you meant the file. Classic mistake. I think Stephen King made the same mistake with his movie poster. But when you find yourself in trouble, when your back is up against the wall, that's when you turn to your true friends for support. Unfortunately, Donald Trump doesn't have any of those. He has transactional friends, like Elon Musk, who today tweeted, how can people be expected to have faith in Trump if he won't release the Epstein files? Yeah, here's the thing. We don't have faith in Trump, but it's not just because of the Epstein files, it's a lot of things. You know, the same way that RFK's choice of swimming hole isn't the only reason we don't trust him. But I get your frustration. I mean, if I found myself on the losing end of a $300 million investment in a candidate who I knew was all buddy-buddy with a child molester, I think I'd want to move to another planet too. And it's not just this mysterious pedophile Trump's never heard of that's taking the wind out of his celebratory sails this week. It turns out the war between Russia and Ukraine that he promised to end on day one is also not helping matters.
That was a war that should have never happened, and a lot of people are dying, and it should end. And I don't know, we get a lot of bullshit thrown at us by Putin for you want to know the truth. He's very nice all the time, but it turns out to be meaningless.
And that's got to be hard for Trump to deal with. I mean, to hear that an autocrat can spew bullshit and pretend to be nice, someone has met their match. Which is surprising because I seem to recall a few months ago when someone proclaimed they could not be bullshat.
They broke it with Biden because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama. They respect me. All I can say is this. He might have broken deals with Obama and Bush, and he might have broken them with Biden. He did, maybe. Maybe he didn't. I don't know what happened. But he didn't break them with me.
Ouch. Looks like someone needs to return their hat to that store they profit off of by claiming their products are made in America, but are definitely not. But unfortunately for Trump, those pesky questions about Putin kept on coming.
The Ukrainians have asked the International Court to go after Russia for using toxic chemicals in the fight. Germany and Germany and the Netherlands have intelligence saying that. What does U.S. intelligence believe, and what do you believe about the use of chemical weapons? And would you agree that that's the case for the...
Well, ask John maybe to discuss it if you'd like, John.
Well, Mr. President,
Wow, impressive. And if you like that move, you can find tons more in the newest edition of Big Buck Passer, when you and your friends can go toe-to-toe, not taking responsibility for anything. But look, if Donald Trump doesn't want to talk about the absence of an Epstein list or the fact that he's been a sucker for Vladimir Putin's bullshit, then what does the president want to talk about?
The White House is tremendous art, and the Oval Office, when we're there, we'll go over that. That's really been something. Then we got the drapes, so we got the whole thing. We got new drapes. We got new. Wasn't a big expense, very small. I love the frame of those pictures. Look at those frames. You know, I'm a frame person.
Yeah, we know you're a frame person. You love to frame yourself as a victim, an underdog, a genius, a savior, an outsider, a deal maker, and a terrific dancer. It ain't working.
Here we put out, these lamps have been very important, actually, but they were missing medallions. See the medallions on top? They had a chain going into the ceiling, and I said, you can't do that. You have to have a medallion. They said, what's a medallion? I said, I'll show you. And we got some beautiful medallions.
Now that's more like it. How dare a journalist ask our president about the Epstein list when he should be asking about the new medallions in the lamps? Well, I guess that wraps it up for this edition of Trump's Cabinet Room Makeover.
We also painted the room a nice color, beige color, and it's been really something. The only question is, will I gold leaf the corners? You could maybe tell me my cabinet could take about. You see the top line moldings, and the only question is, do you gold leaf it? Because you can't paint it. If you paint it, it won't look good because they've never found a paint that looks like gold.
And they've also never found the sitting president with this level of cognitive dissonance. Everybody, we need to focus on the victims of the Texas flood, but first, how much gold should we be leafing to really make this room shine? Donald Trump spent an exorbitant amount of time talking about picture frames and lamps and how gold paint never looks gold enough, all in an attempt to distract from the fact that the promises made by him and members of his cabinet were completely empty. They are not making the Epstein list public, the Russia-Ukraine war is not ending, there's no 90 deals in 90 days, and the slashing of the federal budget isn't exactly making Americans safer. See, you can try and celebrate your wins all you want, but when you're the boss, the bad things that happen are also your fault. It's part of the gig, along with the perks of getting to live in America's house that you felt wasn't America enough, and fly in America's plane that you felt was so subpar you needed Qatar to gift you a new one. At some point, you actually have to take ownership over your job, because this refrain only works for so long.
I put safety first. Obama, Biden, and the Democrats put policy first. He came in on January 20th. So this is Biden, and you could even say the next quarter is sort of Biden. This was all caused by bad rules, regulations, and other things by Biden, the Biden administration. Biden gave us a horrible economy. He gave us horrible inflation. This should have been done by the Biden administration, but, they didn't do anything. They didn't know what the hell they were doing. What a situation that all is, and that was really the Biden setup. That was not our setup, but I wouldn't blame Biden for it either.
Oh, good. For a second, I thought that by blaming Biden, you were blaming Biden, but good to know that you weren't. Donald Trump's entire brand is based on lies, deflection, and never admitting anything was his fault, which is why we will never hear him take blame for anything. Waiting for Donald Trump to accept responsibility is like waiting for a dad in the 1950s to say, I love you. Those words will never be uttered, but it can still be communicated in other ways. When that dad takes his kid out for ice cream, we know what it means. And when Donald Trump starts talking about his lamps and gold paint, we also know what that means. It means the shit is hitting the fan and he can't buy or blame his way out of it. Sadly, not every problem is like the Epstein list. Just because you pretend something doesn't exist doesn't make it true. Before you go, if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more and support independent media, please subscribe to this channel. The subscribe button will be right here on the screen. But second, the reality is that we are now in a political environment where this administration can lean on any of the social media platforms to suppress certain voices if they don't like critical coverage. That means my longevity here is in the hands of a few tech billionaires who are already making it clear that they are willing to cater to this administration. To that end, signing up for my newsletter is a way for me to reach you directly if that ever becomes necessary. I'll put the link right here on the screen as well, so please sign up. It's free, but there's also an option to do a paid subscription if you'd like to support me and my team. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.